Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Today, I am talking to you about TryHackMe's new SOC Level 1 learning path. Now, the reason I'm covering this, because I don't really cover that much TryHackMe news and updates and stuff, because they release updates all the time. But the reason I'm covering this is like one of the most common discrepancies, arguments, conversations, whatever you want to say, that I've seen in my comments and in my Discord is the SOC Level 1 is useless, is what I've mostly boiled down to, right? The SOC Level 1 path. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like button, hit that sub button. For all of you that are watching that haven't subbed yet, please sub. It helps out tremendously. But if you're interested in this, I'm actually considering just completely redoing all of the SOC Level 1 path just to see if it actually, like, if I could go from 0 to SOC analyst, basically, level 1, just off this path. And I'm curious if that actually would work. And the reason I say that is, as we go through it, you'll see they've supposedly broken it down to much more like a real SOC. And so I'm very curious. So first things first, the SOC Level 1 path, I agree with a lot of what they say in here, and this is the blog that they talk about. So we're going to go through it, and we're going to just discuss their updates, things like that. And then I'm going to start trying to release as many of them as I can. Now, for those of you that have ever watched some of my path videos, I usually skip if it's just like you just click acknowledge and move on. But because there's some things that TryHackMe does that is so much better than Hack the Box, in my opinion, and it's super, I'm trying to think of the right word, but it is, people don't utilize it. And what I mean by that is people only want to do the fun stuff. They don't want to learn the stuff that isn't fun. So they don't do boxes that just say acknowledge, right? They just click through them and they go to the next thing. And then they don't actually take in the knowledge and soak it in. And I want to add that real life context to a lot of these boxes. So I may still do them all just to go through it. So first things first, if we open this up and go to it, you can see there is, I think, 64. Let's see. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm not going to count all of them, but you can see there's a bunch of boxes here, and 14 sections. I may do them starting out as 65 hands-on labs. So I may start out as just doing these like one section at a time until it ramps up a little bit. But I may just go through this and just do all of them for you guys. Hopefully, let me know in the comments below if you guys actually want me to do that, because I don't want to waste the time if you don't want to, but I may do that. So what's changing? First off, why did they revamp it? This comes to a lot of the conversations that I just talked about. I've seen this conversation, this chatter, this banter, whatever you want to call it, but I haven't seen TryHackMe acknowledge it to this level. And so I really give them credit. I commend them for this. They said, forensics out, real SOC work in. This is something I truly agree with. I think this is a great call out. And this is something that I see people confuse a lot, is they think that doing like reverse engineering or like deep forensics and stuff like that is part of a SOC job. Is there a specialty in SOC, security operations centers, that maybe does forensics? Yes. Is a SOC Level 1 entry person going to be doing forensics? Probably not. If you are, that means you have a very small company, or you are wearing multiple hats and you don't necessarily aren't going to be an expert on it. So does it make sense? Digital forensics is valuable. It's not part of entry-level SOC. I agree with this. I think that's a great call out. Get it out of there, because you're wasting so much of that person's time. Because what's happening is you just saw 64 in this new revamped one, and 64 different modules they have to go through, or what do they even call them? They're not 60 modules, hands-on labs, right? 65 hands-on labs. And you're going through 65 hands-on labs. If you're adding another 20 that are all forensics, and then that person goes to a SOC and is like, well, I'm really good at forensics, they're probably going to be like, yeah, that's great. I'm not going to trust somebody with no experience ever to do forensics because usually forensics means something occurred, and you're actually, because if you get hit with malware and you detect it and you get rid of it and eradicate it and everything, you don't need to reverse engineer it. You caught it for a reason. Usually you're reverse engineering it to get indicators to do things like that. That means a breach happened. It means something didn't get detected and you found it after the fact. You don't want your entry-level people fixing that. So I agree with this. Huge shout out. they replaced these 3 modules. So that's 3 modules gone, right? I think that's great. Added proper introduction. This is huge to me because this is the part I'm talking about where I say people are going to skip through this, and I understand why you do, because you just want that SAL1 cert or whatever. You just want the content or the fun stuff. You don't actually want to learn the real knowledge and material. But this is what happened before, and this is why people found it kind of useless. The path dropped students straight into tools and technical rooms. It would just be like, hey, here's snort. Good luck. Like, snort. And you're like, okay, like what does that help me with, right? There was nothing like guiding you, and I'm not saying it needs to hold your hand, but it needs to actually make sense. Like, I shouldn't just be like, one day I'm learning, snort over here, and the next day is, Zeke or whatever. And you're just like, what the hell what does any of this mean? Right. So I think if they could guide it and put it all together, that's going to be huge. So the new learning path includes introducing role and mission of SOC teams. Huge win, because most people, when they get into cybersecurity, think pen tester or they think blue team, and they don't have any actual idea of what those jobs entail. They just know they sound cool on the internet, so let me check it out. Why modern businesses need blue teamers. Huge. Here's a secret tip into progressing your career, and I can't express this enough. Stop focusing only on the technical. You need to understand the business needs. The reason you need to understand that, unless you're working in a government sector or something, you need to understand the business needs. Otherwise, you're never going to progress, because what's the next step for you? You have to understand where you're going and why the company's going there. If you can align your goals with the company's goals as a SOC, you will be successful. Okay. I promise you. A lot of times what you see security professionals trying to harden things that the business is like, yeah, I'm not spending money on that. I don't care. And then the security professionals are like, this is starting to irritate me. I'm either going to leave, I'm going to get mad, I'm going to get frustrated, blah, blah. But then when you understand the business reasons why they won't do it, you go, okay, I understand why they said that, why they do that. So learn the business too. Learn the business aspect. Overview of SOC structures, processes. Obviously you need that. So this is done in module 1, blue team introduction, which I'll release, and then we'll see if you guys like them, and we'll keep going. Structured learning, no more disconnected rooms, right? This is exactly what I was saying. The path felt like unrelated topics. It just felt like you were just kind of, here's some forensics, here's some Zeke, here's some, vulnerability assessments. Like, it didn't really make any sense. Now it's been redesigned into compact modules that flow logically from beginner to advanced. I like that. That's how it should flow, right? You learn the same order as a real analyst would grow on the job, from understanding fundamentals, handling full incidents. Again, if this is implemented correctly, great changes. Filled technical gap. Linux, web, living off the land, and more. The old path focused heavily on Windows and networks, but modern analysts need to understand. So, couple of things. One, Windows is still the most widely used end user device, so I don't necessarily think that they should remove Windows by any means, but it is important that you understand Linux. Linux attacks are also, to me, more straightforward to understand. They're easier for me to understand because Windows is a little bit more complex, in my opinion, than Linux, and that's based on Linux being simplistic in a good way. So it makes more sense to me. Web application threats, cloud and modern infrastructure. This is a big one. A lot of times people just kind of skip over the infrastructure piece. They just learn security and they go, okay, I know security, but they don't understand infrastructure. And so that's huge. Living off the land, threat intelligence, all that is important. What you'll learn. So here's what you'll learn by completing the path technically, right? This is what they're saying you'll learn. Learn SOC tools and workflows, SIM/SOAR, EDR, perfect. Detect and analyze network and web attacks, awesome. Monitor Windows, Linux, and endpoints, triage security alerts, and complete real-world capstone. If there's an actual real-world or capstone, I also think that's a huge win for them, because before it just felt random. They just took boxes they already had existing and threw them in. You should be building, if you're going to build a path, right, to a goal, and in this case, the path to the goal is SAL1, their cert, that path should lead to SAL1, not basically, here's a bunch of random boxes that we used from before and we tried to make it fit into what we need it to do. No, you need to build it from scratch if you're going to do it. And it sounds like that's kind of what they did. So we're looking at module 1. There's 14 modules, right? From my understanding. Yeah, 14 modules. So module 1, Blue Team Introduction. So this module immerses you in the work of a security operations center, where you'll learn how both humans and systems become attack vectors. So this is your introduction to SOC, right? What is a SOC? What is going on? All the beginner stuff, right? Great introduction, because you need to understand what you're doing. Otherwise, you're just kind of just doing nothing, right? So great introduction. I like that so far. All right, so then we have cyber defense frameworks. So these are your frameworks like MITRE, NIST, whatever the frameworks. I don't know. I haven't taken the path, so I don't know what frameworks, that they're actually covering, but it's really important. This is one of the most underrated things in security operations centers in general. If you have a good leader in a security operations center, these frameworks are vital, okay? These frameworks will save your butt in an incident. And what happens is SOC analysts look at them and go, oh yeah, you do, got it, framework easy, right? And then you have an incident occur and you go back and replay it, right? And when I say replay it, I'm talking about like from a timeline perspective and stuff, and you watch. They don't follow those frameworks. And then you're like, well, where'd you mess up here? Where'd you mess up here? Where'd you mess up here? And it's because that framework that they said they knew, sure, they knew the acronym or whatever, they don't understand the importance of it. And so as a leader, you need to give or emphasize that importance. And this is a huge thing to learn here. Phishing analysis. I think this is really important. It's one of the most common things you're going to basically encounter as a SOC analyst level 1. So yeah, you need to know how to do phishing analysis and all that stuff. Network traffic analysis. Again, it's going to be one of the most common things is you're looking at as a level 1 analyst, right? You're looking at the little clues, right? You're getting an alert and you're trying to figure out, is this a bigger deal? You're escalating it, you're triaging, you're collaborating alerts or corroborating alerts, and you're trying to figure out those clues. So network monitoring, network traffic analysis, security monitoring, all this stuff is vital to what you're doing. You need to understand, you just need to understand basic infrastructure, right? Understanding network things like Wireshark for TCP IP behavior, ARP, all that stuff for ARP poisoning, all this stuff you need to understand. Man in the middle attacks, you need to you have to understand them well enough to see an alert and go, oh, this could be this, or it could not, right? You are the first line defense. So if you mark it as benign, no big deal, and it is a big deal, that's your fault. I hate to say that. Is it your fault in the sense I'm going to go, that's your fault, you suck at your job? I would never do that. But I will say, it can be prevented with the right training. And this is so far lining up to be pretty good training if you actually, take the training seriously and read the modules and understand them. One thing that TryHackMe and Hack the Box and all these platforms do that people don't like, especially fresh people or new people, is they don't like that it doesn't hold your hand literally and go, here you go, here you go, here you go, right? Step by step, every single thing. It shouldn't do that. You should look at these modules and have questions at the end. You should be able to complete them, learn some stuff, and go, that I need to look up on this, I need to look up, I need to dig into this, I need to dig in this. And you should be expanding your knowledge in each one. That's just how it works, right? Okay, Windows security monitoring. I'm glad they didn't take that out. I think it's really important that you keep Windows in there because Windows is so important. The Linux security monitoring, obviously, we already talked about that. Malware concepts for SOC. So in this, you're going to learn and classify malware, which is really important. Malware types, discover why attackers increasingly use living off the land. So one thing is that I see too is a lot of immature SOCs, they don't classify their incidents and their malware and stuff like that. It's super important because then your metrics show where you're actually most vulnerable and you can prevent a lot more. So it's really important to do that. Core SOC solutions. This is your EDR, your SOAR, your SIM. Basically, what do normal SOCs, have? Threat analysis, the module explores foundations. Map findings to MITRE attack. By the end, you'll know how to operationalize threat intelligence. This, if done correctly, is probably one of the most valuable tools here as far as modules go. Again, it just depends on how the training is, but really good path so far. SIM triage for SOC. Okay, so you notice they led all the way up to now you're triaging alerts. Really important. I like that. SOC team internals. So this module focuses on the core of every SOC, security alerts. So this is where you're getting alerts, classifying them, triaging them. This is basically your job as a level 1 SOC analyst, right? You're going in, you're getting, hey, we got 50 alerts. You're picking which one's the most important. You're determining, what's the classification of it. Then you're determining, is it benign? Is it whatever? And then you're closing it out, right? And that depends on if you're a tierless or a tiered SOC, right? You might escalate it or whatever, but that is basically your job. So right there, and then the capstone, right? This is a real world incident, all that stuff. I really like it. Now, who's it for? Beginners starting to look for a blue team path. One thing I want to emphasize here is when they say beginners, that's beginners in cybersecurity. If you're just a no knowledge of IT at all, that's okay. Take the path if you're interested, but understand you're going to have to research outside of here. This is not going to give you, for instance, if you have no IT experience and you take this path and then I show you, John Smith logged in at this time, right, with a Kerberos ticket. Do you have any idea? And then I say, okay, check AD, you go and check, and that user account doesn't exist. Do you have any idea what that means? Probably not, right? And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But my point is, right, that what this does is it gives you a foundation in the security piece, not in understanding IT. You have to have IT understanding. You have to. If you don't, you can have all the security knowledge in the world, right? You can have it all, but it doesn't help me. It would be, this is a bad example, but it would be like being a security guard. You know every move in the book, right? Every move in the book, and you're standing guard at the front door, and the guy comes with a gun. You know every move in the book, but you don't have a gun because they took your gun away because you don't have that understanding of how to shoot. Well, you're a useless security guard at that point, right? So understand that you have to have that foundational knowledge, and that comes with just deeper research as you're going through. IT professionals transition. Well, they said it for me. I didn't even, and I swear I did not get to that yet. I didn't read that yet. But it is people looking to transition into security. Existing SOC beginners. This is good for people structuring their knowledge. I like the way they worded that. They didn't say this is going to make you an expert blue team or SOC analyst, right? They said it's to structure your knowledge. It's to take that knowledge you have and understand the bigger picture and how it all structures and funnels up for the business. Now, one thing they did is they revamped the SOC level 1 path to give you everything you need. Real tools, we'll see. Real incidents, we'll see. So this right here, this is what makes me stop believing in some of these things, because I've talked to TryHackMe about this, but claims like this, real skills that get you hired, there's zero evidence that this path came out 2 days ago, and they already know it's going to get you hired. There's zero evidence or credibility to the fact that this will get you hired. And I hate claims like that because it makes me go, immediately, I don't believe anything you're saying because you're already lying to me. And I understand it's a marketing thing. I understand it. I'm not hating that you're trying to market. I hate that you're being disingenuous. And will the skills be necessary to get hired? Maybe. I don't know yet. But will these skills get you hired? There's no evidence of that. There's none, because this path just came out. So they can't know that yet. And that's okay, but don't put it there, because what you're not getting here is you're not getting any real world experience. You're getting gamified learning, and that's good. I think it's really good, but be honest about what you're presenting, because in my opinion, TryHackMe, one of the reasons they're notoriously considered TryHackMe's for beginners and then Hack the Boxes for more skilled professionals. One of the reasons is because they gear it towards beginners, because they make claims like this that beginners go, oh, I got to take it. I know it. And professionals go, yeah, right. And they go on to something more impressive, right? Like an OSCP or something, because their marketing is not geared towards the professional. Why? Because there's less seasoned professionals than there are people trying to get into cyber. So TryHackMe is trying to grab a market share of those beginners. They don't really care about the seasoned professional, which is fine. That's your business model, and I don't hate it. But be honest about what you're doing, right? And that's kind of a rant, if you will. But overall, I think it's a pretty good path upgrade. I mean, I really do. I think we're going to go through these. I'm going to do these videos, and, we may just do, let's see, that says 15 minutes. This one says, does it say? 30 minutes. This one says 30 minutes. And this one says 30 minutes. So I may just do the first whole section, Blue Team Introduction, as one video because it's like, what, an hour and a half, something like that. So we'll see. And then we'll just go through it and we'll try and make it happen. But I think it's a good path now. I have to look at the boxes, obviously, but the layout and the format and the thought process in it is correct. And so I do agree that this is a good update. I think SOC Level 1 path before had some work to do, and they're doing it. And I commend them for that. So let's hope this turns out to be good. And hopefully this leads you to that SAL1 a lot more effectively than the previous path. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. Check out the Patreon. Check out the Discord. All that's in the description below. And hopefully you guys have a great day. Hopefully you guys learned something.